Hi, welcome to the Culture Curators Podcast. We're here to share insights, information, and resources to help you become a more effective salon and business leader. Welcome back, everyone. We're happy that you're joining us today. Today, I think we have a fun topic, and I maybe didn't always feel that way. I maybe dreaded it before, but in the end of my ownership at the salon, I really looked forward to team celebrations, or as some of you call it, staff meetings, team meetings, whatever you want to call it. I always wanted to call it a team celebration because we did a lot of celebrating in them. So today we're going to talk about what is it, what should you include in it, how often should you have it, and hopefully you're going to have some great takeaways. So let's get started, Derek.
Yeah, I think the number one thing is consistency is key. Toward the end of the year, in a perfect world, let's say, toward around this November 15th or so, we like to release the schedule for team meetings for the following year. It gives everybody a full, perfect amount of advance notice to clear their schedule for that 1 or 2 hours, whatever you decide. I like to set it for 60 minutes. If it's going to be longer than 60 minutes, I like to inform the team that this is going to be a little bit longer, possibly 90 minutes, but we'll get to timing in a little bit. But number one, it's really having them preset. If you are kind of winging it as you go, that's going to be a huge challenge. And more than likely, it's going to set yourself up and your team for failure. And the other thing is making sure that you have them on a consistent basis as far as every 30 days. We like to have them monthly.
Absolutely. And I think that the beginning of setting yourself up and your team up for a big win on team celebrations is that you incorporate that into the interview process. In other words, you let them know. It kind of sets yourself apart from other salons, and it's part of your culture, really, is to let them know that you have a team celebration, a team meeting monthly, and if it's the same day and same time every month, they can start to put that into their schedule right away before they're even hired, if you're thinking that they're a really great candidate. For us, I know we always had it the first Tuesday of every month. We had it always from 1 to 2. And would it look the same way right now? I don't know if it would or if it wouldn't. We always had ours in person. I think now, especially since the pandemic, I think that there's a lot of people, a lot of salons having it virtually as well, or maybe a hybrid. Maybe some are coming into the salon, maybe some are already working that day, and then those that aren't working, maybe they're joining via Zoom. And so we want to take away all the roadblocks for people saying they can't attend because of. So we want to give them ample notice, like a year in advance notice. And we want to stay consistent with the day and time if at all possible. And then we want to give them a few options to participate and join in on the team meeting.
Yeah, and if you're going to do it on Zoom, I think setting up some Zoom standards or protocols is really great, such as have your camera on, be in an environment that's distraction-free, preferably your own private room or office or even, wherever, but it's just private. They're not like in a public setting that's creating a ton of background noise and they have to stay muted the whole time. They're not driving during it. All these things are really important things to say on the front end. And then if the case may be that maybe someone lets you know ahead of time, like, hey, this team meeting, especially when you book this way far in advance, sometimes they don't know what's going to happen in their schedule in June of next year. Something comes up, it's their family's event, they're on vacation, so on and so forth. So there might be ways that you need to adjust. But I've even had team members not even tell me that they would be away for it and just be on because they are committed to just showing up and being there on time. When we were completely, when it was much more COVID based, we went completely Zoom with it. We felt as a collective group that started to kind of disconnect us a little bit. It's also, I think it's a little bit harder for the person that's hosting the meeting to do it on Zoom because you just feel like you're just talking at yourself. And people kind of have to be on mute so you're not getting all that background noise. And it's a little harder, but it's not impossible. And there's a lot of pros to it as well, especially convenience, that people aren't having to leave their home, especially for your team members that have kids or families that they really need to account for. It's really hard for people to set up a babysitter for that 1 hour every single month. And if you allow them to bring their kids in, that could be a distraction. So you have to kind of think about these things, I think, on the front end. So what we tend to do is we'll do a hybrid where it's at maybe every other month. Maybe you're doing 2 on Zoom, 1 in person, vice versa. You have to decide what really works best for you. Do you have a team that's really spread out? Some are half an hour, 45 minutes plus away. Do you want them to have to take that drive in, spend the time for the meeting, take the drive back? Is that something that they can really commit to consistently? So these are things that you really need to think about and set yourself up and them for success, and be mindful of their schedules. It's not just about you and your schedule. It's really about accommodating them.
Right. And I think that one of the things that makes it really successful is to have them engage in the setting up of the meeting. So if you haven't had meetings, or you maybe have had inconsistent meetings, maybe at your next team meeting, you're going to talk to your team and you're going to ask them their feedback. When is the best day? When is the best time? And they're not all going to agree. We know that. But maybe some commonalities will come out of it, and we'll find out, who doesn't mind coming in on their day off or jumping on a Zoom on their day off, who's okay with that, who may not be okay with that. The more that you can help them participate in development of it, the more I think they're going to participate in the meeting. One of the things that I would like to say is right off the bat, you need to prepare for your meeting. And this isn't a meeting. We talk to stylists all over. We talk to hair, skin, nail people, owners, and service providers. And a lot of times when you say, what is your team meeting, or they know it as a staff meeting, they always say it's horrible. It's kind of a bitch fest. It's all about what's not working. And I think that you need to start to shift your mind about what is it that you can celebrate? What is it that they need to be informed about? What is it that we're aiming towards? What are some goals? What's the education coming up? There's a whole lot that we can talk about. We don't even have to go down the negative path. It should be a really positive, fun-spirited moment for team building and bonding. The first thing is, I think it's really important to start your meeting on time. If you say the meeting starts at 1 o'clock and there's only one person there, you acknowledge that person for being on time by starting on time. The rest of them, when they come in, you thank them for being there and they sit down and you continue on. But it's so important that you start your meeting on time and that you end your meeting on time.
Yeah, and I think that, like Jill said, you don't want this to turn into just a complete complaining session. And a lot of times staff meetings, that's why we don't like the word staff. It's like one of our good friends would always say, staff get infections. So staff infection, you don't want that. But a team meeting is a time for the team to connect, to bond, to talk about important information that's about to come up, maybe important events, maybe important protocols, to celebrate great wins that have happened over the last 30 days, to acknowledge people and publicly celebrate them. That's a great thing. To maybe announce new things coming, whether it's product, whether it's events, whether it's classes. And again, like Jill said, keeping it in a positive tone, I think, is really, really important. And yeah, starting on time for sure. Also ending on time. It's really, if you're long-winded like me, then you really need to set yourself a timer. You need to hold yourself accountable to the time. I wasn't always good at that, but you kind of see that there's a rustling happening. Everyone's getting antsy. More than likely, they have planned something right up against this. This is not something that the team gets the most excited to do all the time, but the more that you make it positive, the more you make it exciting, or like Jill says, a celebration or something that they can look forward to, that they see as productive, the more they will then look forward to it and I think engage in it. And I think the more that you engage in them and don't make it like a lecture. So when we say complaining session, we don't want you, the owner, complaining at them either, just as much as you don't want them complaining at you the whole time. Will there be a time and a place during team meetings to address some difficult things if need be? I would say yes, but at the same time, you don't want this to turn into a back and forth between you and your team, or a back and forth between some of them, because I've had that happen. That's not pretty either.
No, it's not pretty at all. And so, your team meeting might start with thanking them for being there, honoring their time, letting them know that you're going to be together for the next 60 minutes or whatever the time is that you've allowed. And maybe you're going to start by giving some shout outs. Maybe you're going to start by saying, oh my gosh, we need to celebrate Derek this month. Derek, can you come up here? I want to share with you what Derek did. He had his first service month that was over $10,000, and everybody applauds, and Derek feels good. He feels great. And there may be somebody who had their highest retail month. There may be someone who got, you know, a referral who's never had a referral. There may be someone who level jumped if you have a level system. You want to honor and acknowledge that. There may be somebody that's going to be celebrating an anniversary with the business during that month, or maybe they're going to be celebrating a birthday. We always got flowers and balloons and cards for anniversaries and for birthdays and for promotions. And that's a really great way. You're starting to get to see that you start to celebrate them, you start to acknowledge their wins and their successes, and suddenly it's not such a horrible thing to come to. And in fact, maybe they'll start to look forward to coming because they know that they're going to be acknowledged.
Exactly. And we created a really simple team meeting outline. If you'd like the team meeting outline, we'll give it to you for free. Just comment on the YouTube, or if you're listening to this, send us a DM on Instagram. You can always email us at info@myculturecurators.com. Just a great way to reach out to us. We're happy to share that with you. And for me, what I like to do is keep that outline with me throughout a month, or what I like, because sometimes it's harder to access and just make it organized. I keep a running note throughout the entire month in my phone. I have it titled Team Meetings. I label the month and the date. And throughout the month, I'm adding things to it as things come up. That doesn't mean every time I'm annoyed about something, that's the only thing going on that sheet. I just mean in the sense that I'm kind of doing it as I go, and then I will definitely take some time prior to the meeting, either the day before, hours before. You don't want to be doing this minutes before, but you want to really fully prepare. So maybe you're taking all the notes that you have, that are not necessarily organized in order, and then putting them into an outline form. So one of the things, like Jill mentioned, is celebrations, team wins. You need to be doing your research on that. Have you checked, their numbers? Do you goal set with them regularly? If you're working with us as a coach or as a coaching client, you're looking at their scorecard and you're seeing what their numbers are, so you already have real-time access to them. And the other thing that is really, I think, important, even before or after you do the celebrations of people or individuals, we love an icebreaker or like an inspirational quote or a video. I think a video is really great when you're doing Zoom, because you can share your screen, you can kind of get people engaged. Maybe it's something funny, maybe it's something silly. That's also a great way to engage people on Zoom, because you got to get interaction. You can do something as simple as, let's go around the Zoom group, or if you're in person, let's go around the group and let's talk about one thing that we're grateful for over the last 30 days. We've done things like, let's talk about one positive, and we'll play this on Zoom. It's like a square to the left of you, a square to the right of you, on top of you, or on bottom of you. Talk about one really amazing thing about that individual. It's a great way for people to interact, to engage. You can do two truths and a lie. I mean, there's 100 ways you could do it. Go on Google. There's no shortage of team icebreakers.
Right. You can Google it. And you know what? You don't have to always come up with the idea. In fact, you can have the team come up with the idea. So maybe they're going to have a sign-up sheet, and each month someone's going to sign up to do the icebreaker. If you're in person, I don't know, maybe someone will sign up to bring in a treat or a snack or something like that. Again, the more that you can involve them and engage them in what's happening, the more they're going to be interested in coming, the more they're going to get support from their peers. So we've got our icebreaker, we've got our best yets, we've got our celebrations. I think the next thing is to talk about things that they need to be aware of, things that they need to know. Maybe you're going to be doing a client promotion with retail. So they need to be aware of that, when it starts, when it stops, what it looks like. Maybe there's going to be a team incentive that goes with that retail promotion. So you're going to talk about that, find out what's in it for them to retail or to participate in this promotion. Maybe it's a service promotion, referral, whatever it is that they need to know, you need to let them know. You need to be very, very specific, and you need to be able to share your expectations around whatever it is that you're needing to know. I think another thing is sometimes it's really fun to invite somebody to come on board and do a portion of the team meeting. So it could be a distributorship coming in and talking about some new products that are going to be launched fairly soon in your business. It could be someone from a department store coming in and talking about fashion, what's on trend for spring and summer, talk about, what's really easy casual clothing that would look good in the workplace. It could be someone that's coming in for maybe financial reasons. Maybe they're going to start talking about how to start saving or Aflac for additional insurance, whatever it is. But having guest speakers is really beneficial to them, and you're just adding more value to your team meeting.
Yeah, especially if you're dealing with your distributor, your sales rep is really actually excited to hear about this. So maybe if you're launching a retail promotion for clients and then also a retail contest, you're having that person who's your rep be the person that announces that, and they help show, hey, this is what the new prize is for everybody, get everybody excited about something. If you're launching maybe a retirement plan for your team for the first time, maybe you have those financial people there at the meeting to help talk about what it's going to look like, to help talk about who qualifies for it and what to expect through it. There's really great ways that you can turn this into a really exciting thing for people. Another thing too, after you've kind of talked about what they need to know, I like a category of upcoming events and upcoming important dates for them to know. So this might include, of course, if you're traveling anywhere together, if you're going to a show, upcoming classes that are online that they need to be made aware of. It could also be if you're doing an event in the salon, if you have a class coming up. Whatever of those type of things that are date oriented, I like to have a specific kind of time for us to kind of go over that. And then we, in our outline, we have kind of a general bullet point area as well. So it's kind of guiding you through it. And then there's some other areas that are more specific to this. Another area that I like to actually do is social media. Mm-hmm. So can you talk to maybe your leading stylist in social media, and are they willing to talk to the team for a few minutes about how they found success, about tips on taking great photos or great lighting, things like that. Jill had mentioned if you're going to kind of call someone up, if you're shouting them out, I highly recommend clearing that with them on the front end. Are they comfortable doing that? Sometimes they're nervous. I've put people on the spot before and that didn't necessarily work so well. Sometimes I have put them on the spot and they're okay. You kind of got to know your team's personalities a bit. If I did that to my wife, she'd look at me like I'm in trouble. I'm sleeping on the couch tonight. So and not to say that she wouldn't do it. It's just like she doesn't want to be surprised by it. Some do, some aren't cool with it. So again, it's just knowing your team and really talking to people about hey, do you mind sharing, a few things about what's working for you in your business? Maybe someone's having great retail sales. Maybe someone's having phenomenal reviews from clients. Maybe they can talk a little bit about their consultations and what's really working for them.
Yeah, I think that there's a difference between bringing somebody up to acknowledge something that they've done really well or a 5-year anniversary or something versus bringing them up to have them share something. I definitely think that you need to give them ample notice and get permission from them and have them be prepared to share that. So yeah. I agree with that for sure. I think that there's also a time where you need to sometimes get feedback. Mm-hmm. If you're potentially thinking about something, bringing something new in, it could be a new product line or something like that. I think to be able to open it up and have an open discussion around it, find out what they're liking. If you're thinking of a new product line, I'll just use that for an example. Are there any product lines that they use outside of the salon that they really like? Why do they like it? What is it about it? And just have some open dialogue so that, again, their voices feel heard and understood. It doesn't mean that you're going to accept everything that they say and that you're going to implement it, but it does give them an opportunity to give feedback, to give their opinion, and to let you say thank you for your feedback, thank you for sharing those things, I'm going to check into it, and my commitment is to, I don't know, maybe on our next team meeting, let you know that I've selected the top 3, and then we're going to further research and go into it. So that they feel a part of it, that it's not just a dictatorship.
Yeah, and I think another thing too that we have on our outline, as I'm kind of going through it in my mind, is something we call housekeeping. Right? So that's a time that maybe you need to address some things that haven't been working in a kind way. Maybe, the back room has been left messy too often, and you're hearing feedback from your assistants who tend to clean up at the end of the night. They're feeling frustrated. Maybe there's just, your washer or dryer, something just broke and people need to be made aware of it. Just the kind of stuff that you just want to kind of dialogue or just possibly make people aware of. So, hey guys, just a reminder, ... In the scenario of back room, what we ended up doing in that scenario, similar to what Jill just mentioned with the icebreaker, we kind of passed it around. Well, we had to create a sign-up sheet who was going to kind of clean up at the end of the night in the back room. That was not an assistant. It was stylists, because stylists were making the mess and then they were expecting people to clean up after them. Or it's like cleaning out the fridge at the end of the week. Silly things like that. And again, we're kind of giving you general, so you have to figure out what works best for you and your culture, just kind of telling you some things that we've experienced and also that we've heard with our own clients. But the housekeeping area is not made, again, to kind of like bash people or start, addressing negative. But if there is something permeating that you are getting a narrative from your team about that needs to be addressed collectively, then you kind of need to at that point. What I wouldn't do is, if you tend to have one person that's having the issue over and over and kind of everyone knows it's that one person, I would have that addressed with that person individually, as opposed to trying to generalize it so that you're indirectly telling that person that, as opposed to avoiding like the difficult conversation you need to have with them.
Yeah, a lot of people try to do that first before having that, I'll go back to, difficult conversations. So I think that it's really important to ask powerful questions. So in Derek's example of the back room being left dirty all the time, it could be as simple as, how many of you have noticed when you've come in to your shift, the back room is like a disaster? And they're all going to be like, oh, yeah, and that's a great way to open the door to say, great, I've noticed it too. So let's talk about this. What ideas do you have that we can implement that will take that challenge and put it to the side?
Yeah, it's a great way for you as an owner to like start to release, because a lot of times we're feeling like it falls on us for that. And they're thinking it's your responsibility for that. So it's just bringing back that whole dynamic that we're a team, that we clean up after ourselves. We hold ourselves accountable for our own actions. And you can think about that in a lot of categories throughout the salon. And if you really stay organized like this throughout each team meeting, think about how great it could be every single month and how you can start to really grow the relationships in the team, the dynamic of it, and then the clarity of information.
Yeah, absolutely. So I have a question for you. Do you have consistent team meetings? And if you do, how effective are they?
Until next time, thanks everybody. Thank you for tuning in to this episode of the Culture Curators Podcast. Please like, comment, follow, and subscribe.